there was an attempted murder there, that's for sure. And it was nice. Obviously,
The
we had
attempted murder
that.
was nice.
I mean, hello everyone. Welcome to No Drama, Just Movies, and we are back this week with another TV review. Hit that subscribe button to stay tuned with all the content that we produce each and every week in the world of TV, movies, and apparently jazz. My name is Cameron Otto, the jazz specialist, Kelly Smith, and I'm joined by my esteemed colleague here.
I'm Phil, the man with just a little fear, Corwin.
Oh, a little fear indeed. We are here today to review none other than episodes 6, 7, and 8, I believe.
Yeah.
I hope I was thinking to myself, I hope I got that right, of your
Yeah.
friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. So here we go. I mean, I just want to kick this off once again by saying that this release format, I said it last week, I'm saying it right now, it really serves me well. These half an hour episodes by themselves, it's not enough meat on the bone. It's just not. Sometimes it is, but I felt the same way with X-Men 97 as well. I think in general, in 2025, having, if you were to release week by week a 30-minute episode, it's just not enough. I think it's difficult in general, but the way that they've released this, whether it be because of the fact that they have a ton of stuff to release this year, or whether this was actually planned or the plan all along, regardless, it serves me very, very well. And I've enjoyed, the multiple episodes per week. And it was a nice trio of episodes this week. I love this show. I'm going to say it. I love this show.
Big
Um,
word.
I think the biggest thing I had for it coming out of the 3 episodes is, once again, this show is going at a bullet speed pace, but not in a way that I think is compromising anything.
Mm.
But I think that where we were from episode 1, with Peter literally just getting bit, to now where, we've got Scorpion in the mix, Doc Ock in the mix, Norman obviously doing his thing, Harry and Peter are now friends. It's so much has happened. But I don't think it's at any kind of, detriment to what's actually going on. And so those are my immediate thoughts and takeaways. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. It was great. And Norman Osborn, you sly dog. I mean, quick thing about that. We talked about last week, I remember how you said that your prediction, you felt maybe that Norman was perhaps going to be, basically, literally the Tony Stark, so basically the good guy. But once again, that Norman, he never changes his spot.
I don't know, because remember, Tony was for the Accords as well.
But
So
Norman's got something to hide. I mean, to quote the words of none other than good old Matt Murdock, he's hiding something, and he's definitely doing something incredibly dodgy. But loved it. Can't wait to talk more about it. What was your thoughts of these 3 episodes?
So overall, I enjoyed it as well. Like these 3 felt a lot more connected than the other ones. Like this felt like an actual serialized story, right? Because in the first one, episode six, yes, in episode 6, we kind of towards the end introduce the Scorpion. Then he's like fighting the Scorpion in the next one, episode 7, and then in episode 8 we have the aftermath. But it's all like connected. It goes from one to the next to the next. So I think I enjoyed that a lot more than the more like episode per episode kind of villain. As I mentioned, I think before, like the villain of the week or the villain of the episode kind of thing. Because now, like you said, it is moving a lot faster, and I think that maybe that's why. Because suddenly we do have let's say big bad. We do have Doc Ock. We do have the Scorpion as kind of more a formidable foe, I think, rather than here's a bad guy, and then 2 minutes later they're already defeated because we have to move on. So it rears up a bit. So I enjoyed that too.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I mean, one of the, the best moments out of all 3 episodes was in, I believe, episode 7, when Peter does go up with the Scorpion, and you have that moment where, he has his similar to like in Homecoming where Peter gets his ass beat by Vulture and he has to do the classic of lifting up the feet. It felt like it was one of those really dark moments of Peter,
Mhm.
this watching this young kid being, you know, well, at least there was an attempted murder there, that's for sure. And it was nice. Obviously,
The
we had
attempted murder
that.
was nice.
I mean, it was
Choose
nice
your words carefully.
I mean, it was nice to see, but even what was more interesting, obviously, one of the big little Easter eggs is obviously the glider coming to save him. And so I'm gonna say this. I mean, with Peter now, he's about to don the classic red, blue, and blue suit. With now, how do you see this whole series ending? Because I'm wondering if they are gonna pull the trigger and you are gonna get that hint of the goblin at the end of this season, or if it's too early, because it feels too early. I don't know if that was
Mm.
just a little hint to show you, this is something that Oscorp has in development. I used it to get you out of this rut, or
Yeah.
if they're gonna go for that sooner rather than later. But it feels too early to me. What do you
I
think?
think so. I think so too. Like there's two more episodes left. I don't think Doc Ock is done yet. That would be much too easy, and that would be very disappointing if that was it for Doc Ock. Um,
I mean, he's just a jazz specialist. Remember?
oh man, oh that scene was not good. I wasn't. I was not a fan. Well, we can get to that. Um, so I think because there's at least two more seasons, I think, right?
Yep.
For now. So I think if there is a goblin, and that glider kind of suggests they're building up to that or hinting at that. If there is a goblin, it's either going to be in the second season, or maybe the third, but not in this one, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, also as well, the other thing I wanted to mention, you mentioned about the Sokovia Accords.
Hmm.
I'm very intrigued to see how that goes and where that goes in this version, of Spider-Man. Obviously, the impression that we're given is that Norman obviously is, doing this behind Peter's back, and he seemingly may be the one to actually sign him up for the Accords. Which is the impression I got, because Ross
Hmm.
does say, well, I think it's Ross or Norman, one of them say to the other that they will basically sign on behalf of their
Yeah.
client, should we say. And so I'm intrigued to see what happens if he does sign for Peter and how that comes into the fold. And also as well, like this eventual reveal of what Norman is doing. I'd imagine that by the end of this season, we are going to finally get, I'd imagine more of a black and white picture of this is what Norman is up to. This is really what he's doing. And whether Peter actually, becomes privy to that or not is intriguing. Does Daredevil factor into that again? Great scene. Was that Charlie Cox voicing Daredevil?
I don't.
Because
It
I
didn't sound.
thought it was. It sounded very much so
Yeah.
like him. Um, and so I could be wrong, but it sounded like, and I feel like I did see his name somewhere that I mentioned that he was actually the one voicing Daredevil in this episode.
We
But
should have
while
looked
you
this up
find that out,
beforehand, shouldn't we?
I mean, that is true. But I mean, while you find that out, I will just emphasize again that I
Yeah.
love that scene. I love that interaction between the two of them. I thought that it was a nice, fun fight. It's just great to see Daredevil and Spidey. Do you know what I mean? It's just great to
Hmm.
see Daredevil and Spidey. What's your thoughts on that scene?
It was. I love that fight. Like the fight with Daredevil, beautifully animated. Like I love the how the Spidey uses the helicopter. How it
Mm,
like, swings around that, and like suddenly they're on top of that. And it is that it reminded me of uh the small conversation Spidey in Civil War, the small conversation Spidey had with Steve, right? Where they're all like, "Oh, I'm from New York, Queens. Where are you from?"
Queen's gone, yeah.
I love that, and this is kind of similar. There was a similar
Mm,
vibe to that, where they're like, "Hey, where?"
yeah.
Where they're just chatting while they're fighting, because they are both the good guys, right?
Yeah.
And maybe they, you know. they don't want to hurt each other, but they have to fight because they think they're, bad guys. So I like that kind of dynamic and the fight as well. And it's always good to see Daredevil and like giving him the sticks as well. So yeah, that was fun.
The
Uh,
sticks. Give him the stick. Oh, give him
oh.
the stick.
So yes, it is Charlie Cox. I checked it. It is Charlie Cox. I didn't recognize his voice. It's interesting. Maybe
Yeah.
it's been a
I
while
mean,
since I heard the Daredevil.
yes. I mean, it's a great little tease given that Born Again is out in a matter of weeks.
Oh, yeah, 2 weeks.
I want to ask a question.
Hmm.
They had that line with where Norman says, the spin on the classic line, with great power comes great respect. Interesting line. Do you think that we're gonna get a bit more of a violent, darker Spidey in maybe the next episode or two? How do you think that's gonna pan out?
He does kind of accept it, right? By the end of episode 8. He does kind of like repeat it. I wonder if he tries that option and if he does go a little bit more brutal, I guess, or more dark. Because it is a bit of a villain line, right?
Mm,
Um this whole respect and like using power to get respect rather than to help people. Um which was also like nice as a characterization from Osborn for
mm,
Norman, just how he sees the world and how he uses that phrase basically, or how he
mm.
changes that phrase. So yeah, I wonder if that's something Spidey has to go through, like an internal struggle, finding like just how far he can go or let himself
Mm.
go.
Yeah, no, good point. I mean, any other pointers for this episode? What
Um,
else is on your mind?
I did. There was that. It's still strange, like having so much focus on the other people around Peter's life. There's Nico, for example, that episode when Nico hangs out with Harry,
Mm,
um, which in itself I kind of liked because it's essentially Peter trying to combine those two lives. Um, but I do wonder if it's too much of other people. And then Lonnie and Pearl
mm,
as well, when it's too much uh, focus on them. Like it worked really well when in the last episode, I think as well, it was when Lonnie just suddenly turns up at Pearl's and that world does combine with Peter's, and suddenly Peter's kind of involved in that whole relationship, and Lonnie being kind of doing his own dodgy stuff. And once Peter finds out that he's with the gang, that's, I think, when it becomes a little bit more interesting for me.
mm.
Because suddenly the person that we're actually, meant to connect to, our kind of entrance point to this story, our main character, is connected to that conflict.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because I'm kind of on the opposite, where it's like I really appreciate seeing and spending time with all these other characters because it just makes
Mm.
me care about the world more. And I think it helps that these other themes and plots that are going on has actually been interesting. For example, the Lonnie Lincoln stuff from the first episode. Like obviously at the time, you and I didn't know that Lonnie Lincoln actually becomes the Tombstone. But that this whole arc for Lonnie to me has been very interesting, and how that then ties in, as you were alluding to, with the gang being scorpions, and that actually giving rise to the real Scorpion, who gets his armor from Doc Ock, who has beef with Norman Osborn. But Spidey then comes involved because he knows Pearl and Lonnie, but he's also being trained, or what, not trained, but being the man in the chair in this instance is Norman. And I really appreciate that. Like we talked about episode 7, when Pearl, she comes into the 10th, was it the 10th street or 10th gang, or
101 Street? No, wait.
something like that.
What's that
110th.
gang?
I think it was one
Something
tenth or
one.
something like that. But
Let's
when
say
Pearl comes in, for example, and then everything goes to crap, I wondered then, like, if they were planting seeds for Pearl eventually getting seriously hurt, or seriously maybe being killed. I don't know. I'm not too sure if they're gonna go that way.
Or
But
like
I
a
was
Gwen
one.
Stacy thing.
Yeah, I
Like
was
they were going
wondering
for,
if that would be something they might play with to see the effect that then has on both Lonnie and his ascension, maybe to becoming the Tombstone, and then Peter and obviously what he's going on, and then eventually that collision between Peter and Tombstone, because that is one like collision that I'm really excited for whenever it does happen. I think that by the time it does happen, there's going to be so much of an emotional journey that we've been through with them that I think it is really going to be nice. Um, there's so much going on, man. There's so much going on.
I
Anything
do
else?
wonder, like, especially with Tombstone, like I like the idea of when he basically towards the end of the episode 8 as well, when he does fire up the gang, right? Donnie Don
Big
Big
dog.
Don says
Big
something and nobody
D.
reacts, or like nobody Big D.
That's his name.
I'm sure he would kill you if you called him that. So I what was I? Yes, when he says something, not everybody's on board, and like uh then Lonnie is the one firing out the gang, right?
Yeah.
And everyone's like, yeah, let's go. And I wonder if that's his first step to becoming the leader of the gang if something happens to Big D, I suppose. Um, and then he has to take over, or like maybe they vote him in or whatever. But I'm not sure if they have time to make this happen in this season, or if
Mm.
that's something that happens like gradually by season 2 maybe. But I like that they like throw in all these little hints of stuff coming.
Me too. Yeah, I mean, two last small notes from me.
Hmm.
First and foremost, one of the MVP scenes out of all of these episodes, I think it was in episode 8. I think at the beginning of episode 8 when Peter obviously goes home in his cast and whatnot, and May sees him and they have that embrace, and he breaks down talking about this
Hmm.
responsibility of feeling like he's having to do so many things and take care of so many people. That was just classic Spidey. I felt that it was
Yes.
really great. It was really emotional. It reminded me of some of the Tom Holland movies as well, because I think they did that really well there too. And finally, because this is more so up your alley, I'm
Yep.
trying to remember if that was episode 8 or 7. Was when Big D and the gang turn up looking for basically some tech of their own.
Hmm.
Is that meant to be a chameleon, or it felt like a
The guy in the
tease?
mask, right?
Yeah,
The Russian, like Russian accent.
because he dressed like it, and I was
Yeah.
thinking of you when I saw it. 'Cause I know you've been wanting to see Chameleon, for a
Ooh,
while.
I want a chameleon, a proper chameleon, please.
Yeah,
Um,
was that
that'd
meant
be
to be him?
cool. Yes, yeah. Because I think that's like his standard costume, like that mask,
Yeah,
without the features, and the idea that he's like, oh, what does he say? I can't show my face right now, or something like that.
yeah,
And somebody even says like, get a new one. I think someone
yeah, something like that. I
like,
remember. Yeah,
like get a new one. I'm like,
yeah.
so I'm excited. Maybe for the next one. I don't know if there's like a title, right? One of the titles is like Chameleon. Um,
Oh, I didn't know
so
that.
oh
I like that.
yeah. So he's coming. Uh,
Woo!
but yeah, I think that's meant to be him. And he is, yeah, he did sound Russian or like with an accent, so Chameleon. Dimitri, like. So
Yes.
we get that soon, and I
Ooh,
can't wait.
I can't wait too. I mean, any other thoughts you want to add on these three
Oh
episodes?
yeah, what do we think of Iron Man kind of like solving the Doc Ock problem? Did we
I
like
mean,
that? Do we?
I think it made sense. Like, I think that if Iron Man, similar to in the MCU, if Iron Man is one of the leading Avengers, which he always is, and he has signed the Sokovia Accords and is in agreement with the Accords
Hmm.
and buddies with Ross, which he was in the MCU, it makes sense that, you'd call him in for something like this, so that he was bound to make an appearance. It's Iron Man. Steve Rogers is on the run, just like in the MCU. And so I liked it. I mean,
Yeah.
I've talked about the art style. It's really grown on me, and I really do appreciate it now. However, that classic Iron Man look, does not look pleasing to me, and I think it's because we've been spoilt with the MCU looks of that Iron Man suit, and now seeing that classic suit to me looks very Tin Man esque, and But yeah, what was your thoughts, though?
Oh man, I didn't like it as much. I didn't. Because it kind of it's resolved very quickly. It's like we do get that weird jazz scene, and he takes out the SWAT team, and he suddenly like nobody can take him down, and then suddenly Iron Man comes and does it, and within a second. Um, and plus it like takes a lot of that conflict away from Peter. Like we've built up Ock as I keep saying it, but the big bad for Peter to fight. Now that's done. Although I'm not sure it is done. I hope it isn't. But yeah, just like for now, having it resolved so quickly. They could have just said like, "Oh, Ross tried to call in Iron Man, but Iron Man was busy or something." Like, leave it to
Mm.
Peter. It's his show. It's your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, not Spidey and Iron Man or something.
Mm.
So yeah.
I get what you mean. I mean, it seems like Norman is on his way to try and. I'd imagine maybe next episode we might have an interaction between Norman and Doc Ock, maybe in a prison or
Yeah.
some kind of holding facility. I think that the big bad or the, or at least what's going to be presented as the big boss for the end of this season, I think probably is going to be the rematch between Spidey and Scorpion. I think
Oh
that
yeah,
that's
yeah, that has
probably
to
the way
be.
they're going to go, and probably a way to also tie in Lonnie with that as well, and Big D, and whoever it may be. But any final thoughts on these episodes?
Uh, I think that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, let's go to our IC review scores for all of these episodes. So let's go through
Yes.
these. I mean, episode 6, how many ICs will you be giving this out of 10?
I would give that an 8 out of 10, I think.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. I mean, I'm gonna go with 9 ICs out of 10 for episode 6. I thought it was fantastic. Episode 7, how many ICs out of 10 you going for that one?
Um, oh shit, I'm giving this an 8 as well. Like I liked
Woo!
uh a lot of it. Well, there were some bits which I can't remember now. Yes, that didn't quite work.
I mean, listen. I mean, we're together on this one. I'm giving this also episode 7 8 ICs out of 10. I felt like this was the most emotional episode of the entire series of the entire season so far, and it was much needed. A good old stab wound to the heart always goes well in a
I love
comic
the
book
violence.
property. I mean, episode 8. How many ICs out of 10 will you give this one?
This is the highest one because, like you said, it goes back to like the roots of Spidey. They made him suffer, and I loved it. So I'll give that an 8.5 for now, because yeah.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go with a 8 ICs out of 10 for this one. It was good, but I felt like I was on such a high from the previous 2 episodes that it didn't hit as much for me, but I still enjoyed it. So I mean, that will do it, of course, for our review of your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Once again, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hop down in the comment section below. Let us know your thoughts on these 3 episodes, what you thought, what was being teased, what was being set up, the whole shebang. Tell us where you think this is going to end next week. Obviously, please like, comment, share, everything. Please support our YouTube channel. Once again, my name is Cameron Otto, the jazz specialist, Kelly Smith, and I'm joined by my esteemed colleague here.
And Phil, the man with just a little fear, Corwin.
Oh, that's right. We've got just a little fear, but bigger in other capacity. That's right. Once again, we are No Drama, Just Movies. A huge shout out to Big D, and we will see you guys next week. Thank you very much, guys, and take care.
Bye.